packed my car and I drove back to Victoria, and I played Victoria 10 days or 2 weeks later.
When you went back, Terry Jenner was there. Man who's had a tremendous influence on your career.
He did. Well, through the academy, he introduced me to Ian Chappell, who's, I think I've learnt more off Ian Chappell than anyone about the game of cricket.
In what sense about the game? I mean, about the mental state you need to be in and that sort of thing. Because,
how to play the game?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's interesting with you. We'll talk about this in just a moment, actually. That kind of thought you put into playing the game, the way you work out how to get a player out, because that's fascinating. I mean, you don't just run up and let it go. There's lots of preparation goes into that. When did you realise, in all this early stuff, when you're playing for Victoria and then got a chance to play for Australia in your very early years of your career, when did you realise that you'd arrived? When did you realise that you had a potential to do something in this game? When did you realise that you could become significant in this game of cricket?
Well, I didn't until probably Boxing Day 92 against the West Indies, and I'd played 12 or 18 months of international cricket. It was amazing. Once I left they got rid of me at St Kilda Footy Club in 1988. I was there 86, 87, 88. They got rid of me. I went to England in 1989 and played down in Bristol, played league cricket. I put on 19 kilo. I had a bit of fun.
English hospitality, was it?
Yeah, I went over 80 kilos, came back 99. My dad didn't recognise me. I walked past, said, "Dad." He sort of looked at me when I came past. We had Busby's on Monday night. We had, you name it, every night we were just drinking pints. So that was at 89 in Bristol. I came back, got into the cricket academy, and I got picked to go to a West Indies youth tour in 1990. Then went to Zimbabwe with the second 11 Australian side. I'm with Mark Taylor, Steve Waugh, Tom Moody, these guys.
But you didn't feel then?
No, never thought. I just thought, what? I just want to go along with it. This seems like a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I still wasn't taking it serious because I didn't think I was any good. But I started to have a bit of success. Got back, started playing cricket for Victoria, and then the next time I got picked for Australia, 1991, 92 against India. Got smashed all over the park. Didn't know half the team when I stood at the dressing room. I was standing there with my bag like, I've seen you, I was you in the backyard last week. I was seeing all these guys. And I didn't know half the team. So that was quite a daunting experience. And back then, it's sort of old school, which is, you don't speak unless you're spoken to. You don't shower until everyone else has showered. You get everyone a drink and all those types of things. So it was a pretty tough sort of, and I thought, what am I doing? I'm getting smashed all over the park and I don't know half these guys. It was quite intimidating, to be honest. But to their credit, they made me feel welcome. Jeff Marsh and David Boone, if you think this is welcoming, but they grabbed an esky. I sat up on top of the old Sydney Park Royal, and they said, "Right, youngster, you're going to drink this with us." And that was, that we celebrated New Year, and we drank the esky, and that was fun. And then we played. I played in my first Test match, as I said, got smashed. Played the next Test, got smashed against India, got dropped. Went to Sri Lanka, got smashed. But in that time, between going to Sri Lanka, I went back to the academy with Terry Jenner and Rod Marsh. I got back to 79 kilos. I got super fit. I trained every day. And it was basically a lot of chats I had with Terry Jenner about what sacrifices have you made to keep getting selected for Australia. You're not taking it serious. A lot of people would give anything to play Test cricket for Australia. He said a lot of us, including himself, have done a lot of good work. He said, I've taken 40 wickets, 500 runs a year. I still can't break into the Australian side. He said, you've done nothing and you're still getting a game. He said, you don't deserve it and you haven't made any sacrifices. Look at you. You smoke heaps. You go through the bottle shop and grab 12 beers and just sit in front of the tally and drink it. He said, and you're still playing for Australia. He said, you don't deserve to. And then I sort of thought about it and thought, well...
It's an interesting word, sacrifice, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And I thought to him, I said, oh, yes, I have. Of course I have. And he said, OK, tell me what. And I was like, lots of stuff. And he said, well, tell me one. And I was trying to think of what sacrifice I'd actually made. And I hadn't really made any. So it was that time I thought, right, I'm going to get super fit. I'm going to try and learn as much as I possibly can. And the only way to learn is to make some mistakes. And I thought I knew better about certain ways. But I think the overriding fact that I listened, the first time I sort of actually started to listen to people. Yeah. And, as a youngster, we all think we're pretty good and we know everything and that old head on young shoulders and things like that.
That was the moment. That was the change.
I think that was it. And then I went to Sri Lanka 92 and I got smashed again. And I was 79 kilo. I'd done, hours and hours of bowling. I talked to Ian Chappell and Terry Jenner and Rod Marsh and all these different types of people. And I thought, why am I having success? And Alan Border sat next to me, who was captain of the side, and he said, mate, if you keep doing the way you do, you keep busting your gut and you keep wanting to play for Australia, you keep bowling the way you are, it'll turn around. I went, yeah, sure. And I didn't believe him. And then the next innings was sort of, was the first time that I felt I'd actually contributed, which was important. It was probably my favourite test match, not just because I contributed, it was one we should never have won. Through the whole course of the game, Sri Lanka basically needed 180 to win on the last day, none for 70, 2 for 120, and then the game changed. Greg Matthews was superb. He took Pfeiffer, and then they needed 16 to win. I think they had 4 wickets in hand, and Alan Border said to me, next over up that end. I was like, oh no, the game could be over here in 1 over. Please, no, I don't want to do this. And I bowled a maiden, and I went, it's not over yet. But I landed them, and they spun, and it was all pretty good. Greg Matthews took a wicket the next over, so they had 3 wickets in hand, and then in the next 2 overs I got 3 for none off 11 balls, and we won the test. We won by 12 or 13 runs, and that was the first series win that Alan Border ever had on the subcontinent. And it was, for me, I just felt I could contribute to the win. So to feel part of the team, it actually made me like, whew, I'm okay.
And now we're moving into the territory, the start of the legend, actually. And the legend really began, of course, in England, in that very famous test match you played at Old Trafford when you bowled poor old Mike Gatting. Poor old Mike, with a ball of the century.
Mike.
Poor old Mike, yeah. But let's go to the break, being reminded of that, and talk about it when we come back. Here we are.
And he's done it. Gary has absolutely no idea what has happened to it. He still doesn't know.
Well, that has turned about 2.5 feet. Gatting can't believe his eyes. What a start for Shane Warne.
The Gatting ball, a moment of cricket history. I mean, when you bowled a ball like that, you're chuffed, you're delighted, aren't you? You bowled the perfect ball. But you couldn't have imagined, could you, what it meant to you? Because it did literally change your life, didn't it?
No, definitely. It is a fluke. People sort of laugh at that and say, nah, it's not a fluke. But it is. To do that first ball, you know, when you're nervous and you haven't been playing for long, you're playing against England, you've got Mike Gatting down one end, who's a superb player. Yeah. To just land it is a fluke, but then to actually watch it drift in and spin like that, I mean, it's just, I suppose for me, as a leg spinner, it's the perfect ball you can bowl. You can't bowl a better leg break than that. You can bowl ones that spin more, you can bowl ones that do different things, but as a pure leg spinner, as a ball goes in, it drifts down and hits the top of off stump. That's what you're trying to do.
Perfect. And he didn't play a bad shot with it either.
No, well, yeah, no, he didn't actually. No, he didn't. He played it, you know, he played it as he would have 100 times that he'd do exactly the same. Sure. So, from a leg spinner's point of view, it was the perfect leg break.
Let's have a look. Let's be reminded of it again.
Yeah, come on, let's watch it a few times.
Let's watch it a few times, yeah.
And he's done it.
I like his face.
Yeah, he has absolutely no idea what has happened to him. He still doesn't know.
Well, I saw Ian Healy jumping around all over the place, so I thought I'd jump around too. I think Mike Gatting thought Ian Healy might have actually knocked the bails off or something as well, but unlucky Mike, he didn't.
It's also, of course, you made spin bowling sexy as well from that point on. I mean, that was the moment in time when the fast bowlers were shoved on one side and leg spin came to the fore, and it became the sexy thing.
It did, and as you say, that did change my life. Suddenly, a lot of people wanted to know exactly what I was doing, who I was doing it with, where I was doing it, and they followed us.
How many times?
Well, yeah, exactly. And all those different types of things, and you know how many beers I can drink, and they were going back and finding out people I used to in 1989 in Bristol or 91 in Accrington up at Lancashire League Cricket, and who I hung out with then, and who I'd seen, met, where I used to drink, and what did he drink, and all those different types of things that really. I don't know why people are interested in that stuff, but they are.
But they are, and you have to be you have to live your life accordingly.
That's right.
And I suppose it's true, and no, but listen, I'm not making a judgment at all. I mean, it's happened to all of us who've had some notoriety at all. And it's tough for a young player, a young athlete. I feel sorry for the young athletes particularly because, you know, there's no school you go to which tells you about this at all.
That's right. And some of it's hard to handle, and all you can do is...